Hello, I decided to make a video about single mothers, co-parenting, and things of that nature because of a lot of the stuff I've seen on social networking sites and a few videos I saw on YouTube. So the first topic I do want to get into is a single mother. Now, before you state that you are a single mother or single father, please note that there is a difference between being a single mother or a single father than being than being a mother who is single or a father who is single. Most people get those screwed completely up. It's okay to be a single mother. I feel like that's so common nowadays. You hardly ever see married couples, young couples, or you hardly ever see the father and the mother of a child together. And that's horrible, but you know, things happen and you can't stop that. That is the way it is. I respect single mothers and single fathers so much. Not mothers who are single or fathers who are single. The ones who actually do everything by themselves, because that's very hard to do, to take on two roles and to provide for a child and all of that stuff. So I really commend everyone who does that. It takes a lot to pick up someone's slack, especially when it comes to being a child, because later on down the line you have to explain that to your child, and I know that will not be easy. Another thing that I want to note about single mothers and single fathers, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, blah blah blah, whatever, I've always noted that there's always someone who has something to say about single mothers and single fathers, primarily single mothers. I feel like that unless you have a child or you're going through the same thing, you need to shut your mouth, because you have no idea what it's like to go through the things that single mothers or single fathers go through. You don't know what it's like to have to raise a child by yourself while your child's father is out and doing whatever he wants to do while you're at home raising your child. You don't know what it's like. So how dare you comment on a situation based upon what you have heard or what you believe is true? You have no right. So, you know, it's just, why? You don't know what it's like. That's like me telling a construction worker how I feel about working on construction. I have no idea what that shit's like, so why should my opinion even matter? And with singles mothers, I did mention earlier how I respect them more than I respect anyone, but there are some single mothers I don't respect. I don't respect the single mothers who are single mothers by choice. I know that sounds stupid, but who in the hell would want to be a single mom by choice? It's so much work. It's hard. It's very hard. Why would you want to do all that by yourself? That's a big task. I understand now there are some cases where you have to do it by yourself because the child's father is not doing what he needs to do, and that's perfectly fine. But I don't know anyone in their right mind who's like, I'll do it all by myself. I don't want you around, unless they have to. And what I mean by that, because I know it seems like I jumped around that situation, there are mothers who are single mothers out of spite. Meaning their child's father has moved on, so they figured, if you don't want to be with me, then I don't want you to be in the child's life, which is horrible. Why would you do that? That man helped you create that baby, or that woman helped you create that baby. So for you to try to push that person out of your child's life is so selfish, because at the end of the day, you're not hurting him or her, you're hurting your child. And that is the worst thing you can do. Your child is going to need your mother or father. They're always going to need both parents no matter what. Yeah, you can always get a stepdad, or you can ever get a stepmom, but that will never replace that child's biological mother or father. And I just want everyone to know that. Like, you can't do those type of things. If you're mad at your child's mother or father, that's fine. Be mad at them. But taking your child away or not giving them any access to the child is not hurting anyone but the child. You're not being a bigger person, and nothing you should do should ever come from spite. Not only that, it's just making you look stupid and very immature. Now, there are some cases where I do think that keeping your child away from the second parent is commendable. Not commendable, but it's acceptable. So if your child's father or mother is very inconsistent, popping up whenever they want to, then by all means, you have to stop the cycle, because that's not going to do anything but hurt the child. You can't be a father or a mother when you want to, or when it's convenient for you, because that's not fair to the mother or whoever has primary custody of the child, and it's not fair to the child. Another thing that I want to piggyback off of is a video that I saw on YouTube where a man by the name of George. I forgot his last name, but if you type in single moms, you'll see it, where he said that dating a single mother is like picking up someone's trash. His whole video is just downplaying single moms, and I get where he's coming from. In a sense, I don't agree with what he did. He went about it the wrong way, especially because he doesn't have kids. But in his video, which I did mention earlier, he did say that a child needs both the mother and a father. That's very true. And also, he did say that you would have to watch it. He did say something about how someone of the same sex cannot come together and raise a child. I don't really know how I feel about that. To each his own. Love is love. But I do think that if you have two of the same body parts, then how are you going to teach a woman how to be a woman or a man to be a man? And that's the same thing with single mothers. You can't teach your son how to be a man because you don't know what it's like to be a man. And I feel like the women who but the women who raise boys on their own, that's a reason why their son aren't really men, because they don't know what it's like. They don't have a man around. But that doesn't give men the right to not grow up and be a man because you didn't have that father figure in your life. You have got to stop using that as an excuse. Women, same thing. And then another thing, the dating while having a child. Dating with a child is very hard. I wouldn't know because I don't date. I feel like sometimes your main focus needs to be your child, and then when I get that down pat, then I'll focus on dating. Some women who are raising their child by themselves, they're hurt by their child's father and they don't want to see him move on. Same thing with men. You don't want to see the person, no one wants to see the person they love with someone else, but you have to get over that. You're not together, so what? Shit happens. And I understand that. I tell my daughter's father all the time that I want him to date and I want him to be happy. However, I'm not going to pick and choose who you date. I do have a say-so of who I want around my child. There's no reason, men, women too, there's no reason why everyone you date needs to be introduced to your child. That's not healthy at all. And if I don't like your girlfriend, or fathers, if you don't like your child's mother's boyfriend, you have every right to tell them that you don't want that person around your child. If, and only if, you're in your child's life. If you're dating, and that's fine. If you're dating and the person you're dating has a more impact on you than your child does, that's a problem. If you're spending more time with your girlfriend or boyfriend than you do your child, that's a big issue. How can you go, and this is for mothers too, because I know some mothers like this. How can you go days and months and weeks without seeing your child? I go to work for a couple, probably like at the most 9 hours a day. I go to work and I am sneaking in the back looking at pictures of my kid because I can't be without her. And maybe that's because I'm around her all the time. How can you go weeks and days without checking on your child, seeing your child? How can you do that? You can't have a conscience if you do something like that. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't see how men, let alone women, do that. That's a part of you. You made that child. How can you go that long without seeing that child or holding that child, embracing that child? How can you go that long without it? But you're underneath someone else all day long. I don't get that. Maybe it's not meant for me to get. I mean, maybe it's not meant for me to get, but that's horrible to me in my eyes. That's terrible. And you don't deserve your child at all. Another thing is women who up and leave their kids. I can't stand that. That's horrible. That child came out of you, either in both sense, either or, whether you're a man or a woman. But for a mother to get up and to leave her kids, that's horrible. You can, but how can you do something like that? Knowing that that baby was a part of you for 10 months, and then for you to up and leave it, like, how can you do that? I just don't understand. And again, like I said, maybe it's not meant for you to understand. The last topic I do want to talk about is co-parenting. Co-parenting, if you find someone, if you're dating someone, not dating, well, yes, if you're dating someone and you guys break up and there's a child involved and you decide to co-parent, that's great, because both of you will be in that child's life and that's what the child needs. It's hard because you have to find some types of boundaries, and no matter what they say, whatever happens, there's always going to be one person who still has feelings for the other. You have to learn that when there's a child involved, you have to put your feelings aside for the child. The child means more than anything. So all of that's going to have to go out the window because you have to be there for your child. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. It's almost impossible with our generation to find someone who doesn't have a kid. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who don't have kids at our age, which is between, well, my age is 21, so between 19 and 25, it's almost impossible to find someone who doesn't have a kid. If you do, that's fine, that's great, more power to you. I can imagine not being a mom. Don't get me wrong, before my daughter, I had so much fun and all that other stuff, but being pregnant and having her, there's not a greater feeling. I couldn't imagine not having her, you know? And I feel like a lot of people feel that way, whether you're a mother or a father. Once you have that, it's so hard to think about life without that. And I think the main reason why I made this video is because you always see those memes or memes or whatever they're called in videos and posts about the baby mama. Not everybody is like that, because I'm the type of person, and I have friends that way too, maybe not. If you don't want to do what you want to do for your child, what you have to do, I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to make you. I'm not going to spite you with child support. I'm not going to do any of that, because that's on your conscience. You help someone make a baby. Whether you're female or male, you help make that baby. That's part of your responsibility too. And if you don't want to take responsibility in that, that's your problem, not mine. Because I'm going to do what I have to do for my child regardless of who's helping me and who's not helping me. I feel like for women who have kids, it's so easy to make the person you have a kid with, even the fathers, it's so easy to make that person's life a living hell, because when they don't want to be with you, or two, they're not doing what they're supposed to do for their child. But you have to decide at the end of the day, who's more important? You getting your revenge on that person, or stepping up to being the parent you're supposed to be for your child? So I guess that was the moral to my video. And also for the people who don't have kids, you need to keep your fucking mouth shut, because you don't know what it's like. And excuse my language again, but it's so easy to judge and to speak on a situation you have no idea about. It's so easy. But I guess it would have to happen to you in order for you to understand the situation. Like me, before I had my child, it was so easy for me to say, oh, because I talked to someone who had a child. It was so easy for me to judge the child's mother based upon what the father was telling me. And he was lying the whole time. Not saying that all of them are lying, but it's so easy to judge someone based upon what you don't